Swami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavarthaye Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Apyayantu Mamangani.
Om Apyayantu Mamangani.
Vak Pranat Chakshuhu.
Vak Pranat Chakshuhu.
Shrotramato Balamindriyani cha sarvani.
Shrotramato Balamindriyani cha sarvani.
Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam.
Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam.
Maham Brahma Nirakuryam.
Maham Brahma Nirakuryam.
Ma Brahma Nirakarot.
Ma Brahma Nirakarot.
Anirakaranamastu.
Anirakaranamastu.
Tadatmani Nirateya Upanishatsu.
Tadatmani Nirateya Upanishatsu.
Dharmaha te mayi santu. Te mayi
santu.
Keneshitam patati preshitam manaha.
Keneshitam patati preshitam manaha.
Kena prana prathama praiti yuktaha. Keneshitam vachamimam vadanti. Chakshushrotram kau devo yunakti. Shrotrasya shrotram. Manaso manoyat. Vachoha vacham. Tavu pranasya pranaha. Chakshuhu. Atimuchya dhiraha. Pretyasman lokad amrita bhavanti. Na tatra chakshuhu gacchati. Na vak gacchati. No manaha. Na vidmaha. Na vijanimo yathaitad anushishyat. Anyadeva tad viditat. Atho aviditat adhi. Iti shrushruma purvesham. Ye nastad vyacha chakshire. So a very interesting question to which the teacher replied saying, what impels the eyes to perform like eyes, ears to hear, manas to have thoughts and direct it to the right objects? All of them are impelled by Shrotrasya Shrotram, that which is not Shrotram, but that which is behind the Shrotram. Because of which, because of whose presence, ears hear. Is there a second ear then? No. Chakshusha chakshuhu. It's the same thing which is also the eye of the eye. Manas, the mind behind the mind. Thought that controls all the thoughts, that directs all the thoughts. And he ended up by that particular answer by saying, he who understands this, he who understands that all the senses, the body, mind, sense complex completely is all non-independent. They're all dependent on this Shrotrasya Shrotram, Chakshusha Chakshuhu, Manaso Manaha. And that, therefore, none of these, I can be none of these, because you're a dependent existence. Yad Jnatva, knowing this, he cognitively releases himself from the belief that I am this body, I am this mind, I am this senses. It's like saying, I own this dog. Now think about it. Do you own the dog or a buffalo, or does the buffalo own you? This identification with the body-mind sense complex. I am this body, I am this mind, I am this thought. When he understands that all of these are really jada, they don't have chaitanyam, there is a chaitanyam, there is a consciousness which makes all of them what they are. And chaitanyam has to be I, the subject. Atman lokat atimuchya. Freeing oneself from this notion that I am this loka. Loka here meaning all the spheres of experience. The body, the mind, etc. Freeing oneself from these, he can be called a dhira purusha, a jnani, because he's understood that simple words in the answer. And once the person understands this, then the person is freed from samsara. This is the freedom. This is the mukti we are talking about. Moksha is nothing but this understanding. Pretya amrtastvam another pretya amrta bhavanti. Become freed. Therefore, they recognize that mrita, dying, has nothing to do with I. Dying is associated with all these other things. Body is born, body dies. I'm not involved. I am what I am. Chaitanyam, consciousness. Never born, and therefore never subject to change, never subject to death. That is Amritattva. Very wrong notion to say you become freed from death, meaning I'm going to have some kind of an alchemy and this body and this mind is going to continue forever. They cannot. All it means is that I have understood, I have been able to separate what looks like inseparable by recognizing that this portion is changing portion. This is the changeless I. There is no physical separation. There is only a part which you recognize as that which is subject to change and therefore subject to destruction. End. And that part which impels these, which makes all these operate, the operator, not physically operating that, but very presence of that Chaitanya make these operate. Our problem is not that my back is paining. Our problem is I am in pain. Our problem is not my mind is unhappy. My mind is disturbed. The problem is I am disturbed. I am fat. I am inferior compared to somebody else. I am limited. No, the body has limitation. The mind has limitations. The body can be compared to somebody else saying, oh, he has such a lovely voice. I don't have. Nothing to do with I. Voice and I are connected only because all of these are dependent existence. All of them depend on I for their existence. Therefore, you can't separate it out. But I remain unattached. I'm not linked to anybody from this side. So such a dhira purushaha, pretya, after dropping this body, very carefully may have worded it, after dropping this body, is freed. He is freed even at the time of gaining that knowledge. He is free, but the body is not free. The body has to go through all that it had to go through because it came into this jagat with a purpose of exhausting karma phala. So the body has to go through it. I doesn't go through it. Now I don't go through it. That is the problem. So this part is clear that all these, the Karyakarana Sanghata, the complex of body, mind, sense, etc., is not, I am not any of these. But even then, how do I understand I? The first part is reasonably easy to understand. I am not this body. The body goes through all the processes of growing up, of maturing, of declining, and of dying. Not I. This part is reasonably easy to understand. It still leaves how to understand I. I not having any attributes cannot be described. I not having any form cannot be pointed out. None of the method that we use to know anything, which is essentially all the indriyas, have access to this. Eyes can see something only if it has form or color. Eyes can't even see air. You have to infer air by the movement of leaves and other things. Similarly, all the other functions, they can only perceive what is within their scope. I is that unchanging, attributeless consciousness, because of which all these function. How am I going to see it? Like the camera can take pictures of everything else, including selfie. The camera, as of today, cannot take its own picture. How do I know I? So in the next verse, is Chakshuhu Tatra na gacchati. Eyes do not have access to this. Vak na gacchati. Words cannot describe it. Na manaha. I can't even feel it. Therefore, when people say, I experienced Atma or I have to experience Atma, clearly they have a lot more to learn. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasasaha. Where they use the word reach. Words cannot reach. Comes back along with the mind because the thoughts cannot reach. I is consciousness. There is no second. It has no guna, no attributes. Or rather, I have no attributes. All attributes belong to the various upadhis, which function, and we somehow take those attributes to be my attributes. I am intelligent. No, I am consciousness. The mind is intelligent, perhaps. High IQ mind. I am ignorant. Same thing. There is no attribute. If you have an attribute, any attribute, as we have seen in this Jagat, subject to change. You can improve it, it can deteriorate, it is subject to change and eventually subject to destruction. I am without beginning, without end, without change. Therefore, no attributes, no guna. Nor is there a jati. I can point out that this is a jati called a cat. I can therefore describe it by saying this is not a dog. The moment I say cat, I eliminate every other jati. No jati. There is only one. Ekameva advitiya consciousness. Brahman, atma, I. Whatever. There is not even any doing, no kriya. This is a knife because it cuts. This is a pen because it writes. No kriya. By saying it cuts, I distinguish it from a hammer. No sambandha. This is my book. Lakshmana is Rama's brother. No sambandha. There is no second third have sambandha. That is why in Dakshinamurti Stotram, Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam. How are you going to describe something in words which doesn't have a jati, doesn't have a guna, doesn't have kriya, doesn't have sambandha? Only through silence. The silence has to be understood correctly. Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahmam Tattvam Yuvanam. If it is something which has a form, even if somebody has not seen that particular object, I can still describe the object. I don't know how many of you know the word puck. If I tell you, it is used in ice hockey like use a ball in field hockey. So you get some idea by its kriya. Like you hit around a white hockey ball in field hockey, you hit around a puck in ice hockey. Oh, you mean it's also round like a hockey ball? No. It's flat. Round, not spherical. So like what, like vada? Not even like vada, at least has a shape. It's like what people many years ago thought Earth was like, flat. Oh. If it is used in playing ice hockey, is it a soft object like a tennis ball? No, it's very hard. So I can describe. So you get a knowledge of that through other objects that you know. Because other objects also have a form. This also has a form. I can describe its color. I can describe its shape. I can describe its hardness. I can describe its use. Suppose you have a friend from Europe and you tell him, we will go to Tirupati to pray. And at the end of it, we get prasadam. He's very curious. What is the prasadam you get? He says a laddu. He says, what is a laddu? Laddu is spherical, like a hockey ball. Oh. So like a hockey ball, it's hard, is it? No, when you press it, it breaks. Oh. And like a hockey ball, it's not smooth on the surface. So your story gets my idea. A hockey ball is white, this is yellow. I give him the color. And if you put it in your mouth, it is sweet. Don't try to put the hockey ball in your mouth, you'll have a problem. So he gets an idea what laddu is. And this laddu is unlike other laddus, which are much smaller. Size of a golf ball. This is called prasadam from Tirupati. So you can describe. I have to use words which he knows before you can describe it. If he doesn't know color, you can't tell him it's yellow in color. You have to find some other method of doing it. But because the eyes can see objects, form and shape and color, you can use other objects that the person might know to show what the object is. Can you do this with consciousness? Na tatra chakshur gacchati. It is not within the field of operation of the eye or of any other senses. You can say you put the laddu in your mouth, it is sweet. That which makes the eye see, that which makes the tongue taste, that which, like I said, is an operator whose presence is required for taste to happen, sight to happen. How are you going to use these to describe that, which is the very adhisthana, which is the very basis? So, because it is not accessible to the eyes, and eyes is only upacharikam, to any senses, it is not available for smelling, it is not available for hearing, there is no sound, it's not available for tasting, it's not available for touch. So, na chakshur tatra gacchati. Okay, if these senses cannot reach brahman, atma, consciousness, can I use words to describe it? For example, Swargaloka, or in other religions, heaven or Jannat. You can't see it, you can't taste it, you can't touch it, you can't feel it. So senses don't have access to it. But you can describe. And because you can describe, you can tempt people to say, I want to go there. At least for places on the earth, You can describe Hawaii and tempt a person to go to Hawaii. The person might actually go to Hawaii and verify that. But where it is heaven, you can't even verify it. You have to simply accept the words that is told to you. You can describe it. It is that place where there is no coronavirus or any other disease, no old age, no dukkha, although it is contentious. But this is how you describe it. Or worse, the other description you've seen of Jannat. Words can describe something that eyes and ears, etc., may not have access to. Can I therefore use words to describe and make a person understand what is Atman? Navag gacchati. How are you going to describe something which makes vak? That which makes that sense operate. How are you going to use that, the sense in this word, the kamendriya? How are you going to use that to know what is behind? Now, vak gacchati. All these places we use the word gacchati, reach, because we don't have too many other options to describe it. Gamanam. But if eyes and other senses cannot reach it, if vak and other senses have no access to it, is it possible that I can feel it? I can think about it. Chakruhu na gacchati, vak na gacchati, no manaha. There are many things in this jagat which is neither accessible to senses nor describable in words. Feelings, emotions. Most common of which I think is love. The fellow declares to his girl, I love you. Then you say, can you please describe it? He has no idea what he's talking about. Or everybody has a different idea. And all our films and other things impose another idea. What is love? One of my friends back in college used to say, if you see a beautiful flower, it evokes a feeling of love. What should you do? Should you break it off the plant and own it? If you leave it in the plant, it is available for you to enjoy. So he used to say, if a person loves another person, you have to let them be. taste. Even that is difficult. Sugar is sweet. Honey is sweet. Jaggery is sweet. So if you ask somebody what's the difference, you probably say, here is jaggery, here is sugar, here is honey, please taste them. You cannot describe it. Eyes cannot reach it, nor can the other senses. Words cannot describe it, nor can you feel it. You cannot say, I'm going to experience it. Hey, it is I. How can I say I will experience it? It is not a third person. Without any attributes, without any jati, without any parts, abhyaya. I have to recognize it. All of these we're talking about are available for objects. But we are talking here about the subject. How can I, the subject, be known through any of these means? Vak na gacchati, chakshu na gacchati, manaha na gacchati. They try to understand by this, they come back. Swami G used to say, Ona machan terme vanda umanatode. He didn't accomplish. Aprapya, not gaining. Manasasaha, mind also went and came back. Can't. It's like trying to contort a camera to try and take a picture of the camera. So the very first line, Tatra na chakshuhu gacchati, na vag gacchati, no manaha. This is the first portion of the first line of that. Oh, then Swamiji, what are you talking about? Why are you talking first? Not available for words. It's not available for senses. I can't even feel it. It's not something mystic. Like a guru sitting there and saying, close your eyes and see that white light coming to you. Not an experience. It is sheer knowledge, for which none of these are appropriate means. Therefore, it won't work. Then are we wasting time sitting here and talking about something which is not accessible to me? In as far as I know. Not accessible to me as an object of knowledge. It is the very essence of knowledge, Chaitanyam. It says, na vidmaha. Remember, this is the Guru talking to a student. Na vidmaha. We don't know. If you don't know, what are you trying to teach us? We don't know, none of us know this as an object. It is not an object. It can never be objectified. Brahman is you. How are you going to objectify it? Therefore, na vidmaha as an object. An object can have parts. And therefore one can describe the parts. Any object in the world is an assembly of parts put together to achieve a certain purpose. Therefore, you can see differences within. Svagata bheda. This body is put together. Different functions operating beautifully synchronously. The whole cosmos is put together. Every element of the cosmos is put together. You can break it down into its own components. Anything that is put together first can be described because you can describe the parts. You can talk about a Manushya, 2 legs, 2 hands, 1 face, 2 eyes, 2 ears, a nose, a mouth, and a whole lot of other things inside. All of which keep changing. Each one is changing. And therefore, each one is subject to change and destruction. As you grow older, you see this. What do you say? It's just subject to change, deterioration. Atma is partless. I am partless. What I see as parts are that which belong to the body. So there is no way of seeing the Atma, the self, by describing individual elements of the Atma. There is no element. Khanda. Khanda means to break. Akhanda is single, all-pervasive. No svagata bheda. Oh, but then can there be bheda within the jati between things? If you take tree as a jati, as a group, you can have mango trees and palm trees and other trees, Singapore cherry trees. You can also have tall trees, short trees, fat trees, thin trees, new trees, old trees. So attributes, individual components of that jati. When you talk about you, I cannot say that there are many other yous. I am ekam. So I cannot have differences within the jati also. It is the same. There is only one. Nor is there a other jatis. Take the same tree as a jati. River is another jati, another group, independent of the trees. Therefore, I can distinguish a tree from a river. What do you do when it comes to Atma, the self? You don't have Atma type A, Atma type B. Nor do you have another vastu other than Atma. What about Anatma, Swami G? Anatma belongs to another order of reality which is dependent upon the Atma. Like a dream. The entire dream world is dependent upon the knowledge gathered in the waking world. So it is not Svagata Veda differences, not Svajatiya Veda differences, nor even Vijatiya Veda differences. It has no differences. Because there is only Ekameva Advitiyam. Very, very difficult. Na vidmaha. We don't know. We don't know it as an object because it is not an object. It is that which, by which presence objects exist. Objects are tangible, intangible, big, small, near, far, all objects. They exist because of which? Chaitanyam. That Chaitanyam is neither an object nor objectifiable. You've said it is not available to any of the senses, to word or to the mind. You also declared that it is not an object. It is you, the subject. And here we are sitting and the teacher professing to tell you what it is. And all the students are sitting in front of the teacher, keen to know what it is. That's why they ask the question. He also says, Na vijani maha ataidat anushishyat. We don't know how to teach you because it is not an object. We don't know it as an object. Na vijani maha, we don't know. Yat yetad anushishyat. How to teach this? We don't know. That is why we told you chakshush chakshuhu sotrasya srotram manaso manoyat. Other than that method, there is no way of teaching. This parampara of teaching, it is not just that jnanam is being handed down. It is also the method. This is the only method. Because it is not an object, it cannot be described. No example can be given to say, okay, it's like this. You can't even say feel it, like a mystic experience. But by saying it is what impels, it is what makes every function the way it is designed to function. It is the very subject, you. Like all other Upanishads, it sounds cryptic. But don't worry, he will go on to talk more about this. It is what it is. You cannot use any of these methods which you would use normally to teach anything which is objectifiable. Including, like I said, thoughts, feelings, anything. But because it is not objectifiable, one has to only understand by the answer that the Guru has given, which is not even a direct answer to the question he asked. But now you can look back at that answer and say, what did the Guru say? That which is behind the eye, that which is behind the ear, that which is behind the manas. Yes, that which makes all the jnanendriyas operate. That which makes all the karmendriyas operate. That which makes all the thoughts. That is you, Brahman. So, the first part made very clear. It is not accessible to any of the senses. Any of the method that we know to learn about any object will not work because it is not an object, nor is it objectifiable. It is a subject you. Therefore, we do not know it as an object. Nor do we know of any method other than this to teach you. Na vijanimaha yat etad anushishyat. So what do? We go to the third line. Because this object, not an object, sorry, this Brahman that we are trying to understand, anyad eva tad viditat. Viditat anyat. Atha aviditat adhi. Generally, anything in this creation can be classified either as known or unknown. There's no other third. Either it is known or it is unknown. That unknown is also knowable. So it's either known or knowable. The Guru says now, anyat eva tad viditat. From that which is known, it is different. So if it is different from what is known, naturally it must be unknown. Because it is different from known. It is therefore unknown, and therefore I can hope to know it. He dashes that hope also. Ataha aviditat adhi. Nor is it unknown. That way it is expressed. It is neither known and it is beyond unknown. It is different from known and beyond unknown. My God, what are we talking about? Talking about I. Just like he said in that second mantra, Chakshusha Chakshuhu, Srotrasya Srotram, etc. There he defines it. It is neither known nor unknown. That means not knowable. That cryptic statement we'll analyze tomorrow. That which is neither known nor unknown. Those of you we've seen already in the Panchadashi, a similar sentence. Third chapter that we did. Taken from here only, but similar sentence. We will look at that tomorrow. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Harihi Om. Thank you, Swami.
Om Swami.